Hi everyone, I hope you're well and welcome to today's video. Now, things aren't easy for wedding photographers at the moment, to put it mildly. So to give us all a bit of a laugh, I asked some of my photographer and videographer friends if they would like to send me a little embarrassing story or a little funny story of something which has happened to them at a wedding, and the response I got was amazing. Stories about lost wedding rings, hair being set on fire, diarrhea, fire engines. I've absolutely loved putting this video together, so a huge thank you to everyone who has sent me their stories. I massively appreciate it. I think it was a form of therapy for some of them. I must warn you though, if you are a wedding photographer, as well as making you laugh, and these stories will make you laugh, they will also give you a massive sense of anxiety about ever shooting a wedding again. So you have been warned. Over to you, Chelsea.
Hi, I'm Chelsea Shoesmith from Cheshire. My most embarrassing story at a wedding is where I was photographing bridal prep, and I said to the bridesmaids, "Oh my god, I'm so excited to see your dresses. Where are they? I want to photograph them before you put them on." And they said, "We're wearing them." I was like, "Oh, lovely." Well, I thought they were those 90s that people wear to get ready. I had no idea they were actual dresses, so that was really embarrassing.
Hi, I'm John Clark. I'm a Glasgow-based wedding photographer, and I'm going to share my story. In fact, why don't you just watch it and feel the pain I still feel watching it back?
And you always will be a mum to me, no matter what.
So I was with a bride and groom who wanted me to do smoke bombs with them, and this particular venue, which will remain nameless, I actually double checked with that it would be okay ahead of the wedding, because I was a bit dubious that it would be an appropriate place to set a load of smoke off. So I double checked with venue and the bride and groom, and we'd got the thumbs up, all is good. So when it came to doing it, I suggested we use the time during the turnaround before the night do starts to go outside, set some smoke off and do our thing. So I go outside and set some smoke off, and all of a sudden all the smoke alarms start going off. What made it worse is that because it was a listed building, it was connected to the local fire brigade, who were there within about 5 minutes, and the entire place had to be evacuated. Anyway, it ended up being an hour and a half delay. I am just like mortified. I ran up to the fire engine as soon as it arrived, going, "Even me, it's like, you know, you just need to turn the alarm off." And they said, "Oh no, we've got to go in and do the full check just in case it wasn't you." It was so embarrassing because it was clearly all my fault as to why people had been shipped outside to stand outside the venue. And then, to really me up, the chief guy of the fire crew, as they're about to leave, comes over to me and the bride and groom and goes, "So who do I need to give this £2,000 call out bill to?" And I must have gone white, and he looked at me and he was like, "Haha, only kidding, mate. We're only having our dinner down the station anyway, so it's been nice to hang out here." And they pulled the fire engine round, put the blues and twos on, and let anybody who wanted to go and sit in the fire engine go in, put the hats on. The bride had a picture with the fireman holding her, all that sort of stuff. One hilarious thing that I realised afterwards, when the alarms went off and people started to evacuate, the groom actually ran and hid, which was hilarious. Especially since it was basically all my fault. Anyway, long story short, don't play with fire, kids. Anyway, cheers.
Hi, I'm Kim. I'm a wedding photographer from Leicester. And my most embarrassing moment, I was shooting a church wedding. The vicar was really quite strict that as soon as the bride is down the bottom of the aisle, we are to go to the back of the church. And I had a videographer with me. So we're standing there, the bride's coming down the aisle. Lovely moment. She's so emotional. As she gets to the end of the aisle, the vicar steps forward right in front of them, and obviously I couldn't see that moment, so I lean out to the side to get the shot. As I stand back up, I look up to the front row, bridesmaids, parents, they're all looking at me with the biggest eyes, and I can hear this sizzling sound and the most horrific smell of burning. So I start wafting because the sizzling's getting louder and louder, and I put my hand and my hair's on fire. I was wearing my hair like I am today, and I stuck my head into a candle and my hair's totally on fire. So here's me wafting, trying to be as discreet as I can, to put myself out while the vicar's got no idea why everyone's like in the background. So yeah, that was my most embarrassing moment.
Hi, it's Adam Johnson here from sunny Manchester. My most embarrassing story from a wedding is that I was at quite a big posh summer wedding, quite traditional. The church had run on a little bit, so the drinks reception was shorter than it was supposed to be, but we had loads of group photos to do. Started getting people ready, lined up, in and out, getting through the group photos in record time. Was really happy with myself. Managed to do probably about 25, 26 group photos and a big photo of everyone, 150 guests or so, all in record time. Didn't need to be pushed back because I was a hero. But before dinner I wanted to zip in the marquee and do some pictures of the marquee. Just before I did that, I thought I'll check these group photos. So I'm chimping on my camera and looking at these group photos, all out of focus, every single one. And I'm like, why are these out of focus? And I realised I'd been using one of my cameras with the 24mm in the church as like a remote camera from the back. And when I took the 24mm off, I left it on manual focus just before I did the group photos. So every single group photo was shot in manual focus, and that's why they were all out of focus, every single one. So I had to go back to the groom, hero to zero, and I explained to him that we had to do every single group photo all over again, including the photo of everybody, which meant I had to spend the rest of the day explaining to every single guest why we had to do every group photo twice. So that wasn't fun. I also have two other stories. One, because I'm scared of wasps, I accidentally ran and hid in the ladies' toilets. And the other one is that I put on a bit of weight and my zipper split on my pants, and I spent the whole day with my zipper open, showing my red underwear. And when I tried to pin it together with a safety pin, that backfired and stabbed me during the speeches.
Hi, I'm Aaron. I'm a videographer in the Northwest. So my most embarrassing moment was filming in 2012 at Idaho Park. I got caught short and I needed to use the toilets. Men's toilets rooms were locked, so no one was around, so I went and used the women's. Towards the end, a bunch of women ended up coming in. I think there were staff getting changed, and this kept on going and going and going for about an hour. And at one point, they knocked on the door, and I put on my best Monty Python impression and just tried to dissuade them. Eventually, after an hour, they went away, and I ended up being able to slip out unnoticed. Until now.
Hey everyone, I'm Martin. My most embarrassing story was years ago. I was photographing the rings in the church, and on my way back to the best man to give him the rings, somehow, I swear to God, the bride's ring leaped out of my hand, rolled down the aisle and disappeared into a little grid. Loads of us ran over, started looking around for the rings. Eventually we lifted up the grid, had a good look. Luckily it wasn't an outside drain or anything, it was just like an inside grid and there was a heating pipe underneath. After what must have been 30-40 seconds, but honestly it felt like an eternity, a little old lady came wandering up. Is this what you're looking for? And thankfully she'd found it, but I remember sweating profusely. I remember thinking, if the groom punches me, let him punch you because you deserve it. Ever since then, I don't take photos of wedding rings unless they ask me.
Hi Neil, I'm Matt from Wakefield. I've had a couple of embarrassing moments. I shot a wedding in the height of summer. I ripped my pants and I had Peppa Pig Christmas grots on underneath. And every time I walked in the room, beginning speeches or first dance through, I was met by a chorus of oinking pigs. The second one, I thought I'd jazz up a bit of a first dance picture by quickly vaulting onto the stage. Absolutely stacked it, cut my leg to bits, and the groom even broke away from his bride to make sure I were okay.
Hi, I'm Nick. I'm a wedding photographer from Bolton. Talking about embarrassing moments, I've had a fair few. Split my trousers, fallen over, called the bride and groom the wrong name. But the most embarrassing one has to be at a church wedding in front of about 100 people, and the vicar stopped the ceremony, told me off, but he was wearing a mic, so it came out over the public address system, and basically told me to stop photographing the wedding because I was being disruptive. I hadn't moved, I certainly hadn't done anything crazy, but yeah, he told me off. The bride and groom were laughing. A lot of the congregation on the front couple of rows were laughing. Afterwards, the guests just wouldn't let it go, so I spent all day with everyone taking the mickey out of me for being told off by the vicar all the way through the ceremony. I think to make it worse, he shouted at me, told me off, but then wouldn't let me move, so I had to stand at the front, stay there for the rest of the service, but not be able to take any photos. So yeah, that's my most embarrassing story.
Hi, this is Adam from Adam Wing Films. I'm a wedding videographer, and my embarrassing story
was at a wedding in Italy for a very small wedding party that had come over from the States. There was about 15 of them, and it was during the meal they were having some food, and us suppliers were next door having a bit of food. And I'd not been feeling too well at all throughout the whole day. And it was as I was eating a bit of food that I realised that my stomach wasn't great and I needed the toilet. And it was at this point that I found out that there was only one toilet, and it was next door to where the guests were having their meal, so I'd have to go past them to get to this toilet. And it was a unisex toilet, so it was men and women, and it was the only one in the place. But I had to go, so I went past the guests having their meal. Alright guys, yeah, enjoy your meal, good. And I went to the toilet, did my thing, came back out. Okay, see you later, enjoy your meal. 5 minutes later, I needed the toilet again, so I had to go back past the guests. Alright, yeah, hi, me again. Went to the toilet. After about 5 trips to and from the toilet, past the guests each time, within the space of half an hour, I was starting to get some funny looks from the guests who were like, what is up with this guy? And I was like, alright, yeah, me again. But on the 5th occasion where I went to this toilet, it was really bad. And I mean, I decimated the toilet. It was horrendous, and I got to wash my hands, opened the door, and there was a bridesmaid stood waiting to go in, and she went, "Oh, good, yeah, okay, I need to go in," and I just kind of stood in the doorway and froze. And I mean, the smell must have hit her. I couldn't let her go in there, so I had to be honest, just say, look, I'd give it 5 minutes if I were you. Please don't go in this toilet. And she was like, what are you talking about? I need to go, do it in an American accent. She was like, no, I'm sure it's fine, I need to go to the toilet. And I just had to let this bridesmaid walk into the toilet, and I legged it back into the crew room and just avoided her for the rest of the night. It was so embarrassing. It stunk.
Hi Neil, I'm part of a duo, Carl and Kenny, and we was shooting quite a large wedding, a Catholic one, and the place was massive. During the ceremony it went deadly silent, and the priest was at the front doing his thing, holding up the bread and blessing it. Quite an important part of the ceremony, and it was, like I said, deadly silent. Everyone's paying attention to him. I was at quite a right angle to photograph what I wanted, so I decided to move, step back a little bit, and you know those triple bells that they have when they're doing mass and things like that? Well, I decided to kick them down some stairs. Bang, 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 all the way down. As you can imagine, bells being quite loud, and I wanted the world to swallow me up, but got a job to do and had to be as professional as I can, even though I've just messed up. So I just acted as if nothing happened and carried on taking photographs. Kill me now.
My name's Gavin Brown. I run West Coast Photos in the beautiful Argyll on the west coast of Scotland. My embarrassing moment was while shooting a wedding in Carradale a couple of years ago. I bent down to take a shot of the bouquets in the morning. Split my trousers right from the bottom of the zip round to the belt loop. So in effect, I continued to wear a pair of chaps. I did phone my wife and ask her if she could get a pair of trousers to me in any way. She did manage to get to the factory shop, so you can imagine they were stylish. But then Joey decided that the best way to get the replacement pair of trousers to me would be to get the bus driver driving 50 odd guests up to the wedding to jump off and announce to people as he unfurled my new trousers that these had been sent by special delivery from my wife, much to everyone's amusement, but not mine.
My name's Jon. I run a wedding videography company called Red Seats, and my most embarrassing wedding story is quite easily my very first wedding. I was doing it with a friend, he'd invited me along, and so I was wearing a nice suit, I was wearing a shirt, I was wearing some nice black shoes that I hadn't worn in a very long time, and I didn't realise that they'd fallen into a state of disrepair. And it was in the middle of the wedding ceremony. I was trying to change position and move my camera. The sole of my shoe fell away from the main shoe, so it was just flapping about, and all you could hear as I was trying to move the tripod was that every time my foot moved, which was pretty embarrassing. And then the catering manager saw what was happening and brought out some elastic and some super glue for me. Suffice to say, I used my money from that first wedding to buy a new pair of shoes.
So my story comes from a wedding which I shot with my good friend and amazing videographer Tom Harrington. We'd arrived at the church and I was taking photographs of the bride and her bridesmaids as they were walking into the church. And as I often like to do, I started off being behind the bride to get some shots for walking from behind, and then I run round so that I can get shots of them all walking towards me, towards the church. And that's fine if it's not a very wet day. And as I was running past the bride, I ran over a very slippy gravestone and went bang.
It's okay.
And it was awful. I just remember getting up feeling so embarrassed, and I was covered in mud. All this side of me was just mud everywhere. First thought was, I hope the cameras are okay. Luckily they were, because that would have been an absolute nightmare. But I had to go into the church, walk down the aisle with the groom looking at me like, what have you done? I was like, don't worry, it's all fine, I promise. At that point I also didn't know whether I'd hurt myself, and I was just running on adrenaline, but thankfully I wasn't hurt. But more importantly, the cameras weren't hurt. It was just my sense of pride that took an absolute battering. But I always have to thank Tom, because he was so nice. He got this on film. But at the time I said, oh, you didn't get that, did you, Tom? And he said, no, because he didn't want me to feel bad that he'd actually got it. So thank you, Tom, for sending me this video. It gives me nightmares. In hindsight now, I'm really pleased that you had, but oh yeah. Looking at the video and looking at the reactions on the faces of the bride and the bridesmaids, oh, it makes me cringe.
Hello, I'm Josh Wyborn and I'm a Lake District-based wedding photographer. There's two really embarrassing stories actually. The first one was when the bride was arriving to the church and I decided to box jump a small wall. Ended up splitting my trousers pretty much front to back. And obviously this is just before the ceremony, so no time to change, no time to do anything. So I just picked up my camera bag and shuffled all the way to the front of the church, sat down with camera bag across my lap and just got on with it, quickly escaped and ran to the venue, who thankfully are friends of mine. Quickly got changed because, believe it or not, I've heard stories of this and I've always had extra trousers just in case. I just never thought I'd have to do it. The second embarrassing story, so basically during the ceremony, just as they're about to kiss, I wanted a wider shot. I moved backwards. I moved an internal door, which was alarmed, so it set off the entire alarm. The manager came running down, turning it off and everything like that. He didn't realise it was on. Obviously I didn't realise it was on. So yeah, their moment to kiss was interrupted by the entire building alarm setting off. So yeah, they're my two pretty embarrassing moments, and I'm really, really happy all my clients are good fun.
Hi, I'm Jola and I'm from the Netherlands. Excuse me for my English, it will not be so perfect, but I will try and do my best. So there was this one day we went to the house of the parents' bride and we came in. I introduced myself like, hi, I'm Jola. But there were all those people sitting around the table, men and women, and I just went introducing myself. And then I thought, okay, where's the bride? I didn't saw her, I didn't recognize anybody as the bride. So I was like, oh no. And then I thought, oh gee, I introduced myself to the bride. But who is the bride? And well, we just act like everything was normal and we stopped photographing and waiting for one of the women to stand up, and finally the bride stood up. So then we knew that she was the bride. But I felt so embarrassed about it the whole day, and I thought, oh, maybe do I have to say something about it, or well, I just let it go and did not try to think about it. I wonder what she was thinking, like, oh, how stupid. But you know, everybody knows us when we come in. They recognize us, but yeah, we see so many people and it's hard to remember sometimes. But from that day on, if I don't remember and I have a wedding, I just Google them first. So I know where to look at and that I don't get those surprises anymore.
So I hope you enjoyed watching that video as much as I enjoyed putting it all together. A massive thank you again to all my photographer and videographer friends who very, very kindly sent me in their stories. I really, really appreciate it. If you'd like to see part 2 of this video, because I know there will be many, many other photographers out there with stories and I would love to share more of mine as well, then please just pop a comment down below, say you'd like to see part 2. Also, if you've got a story that you'd like to share and be included in the next video, then please do let me know. Just pop a comment down below and I will get in contact with you. So thank you very much again for watching, and I will see you next time.